Today was a funny day. No, no, no. I was getting on today. Did you guys like how in the morning I said that I was going break even? Or maybe you guys weren't there for that because it was Dodgy's aim stream, but I'll give you guys a recap. So basically there was this long that I took at 9:48 and I said I was getting in it. And then after we pumped 50 points and pulled back, I got break even, right? On my live account. I was still in on my fundeds and evals. So Dodgy started talking all this and all that and whatever. Basically pulled the Dodge. And play hits 100 points. It hits DP. And Dodgy goes, and then it pulls back to the entry right after being up 100 points. He goes, so how about that long? And then I was able to show the executions of me hitting the trade. That was really funny. I hope you post the stream recap of that because I'm gonna go back and watch that several times. And as if Dodgy's never been in a play that he's quote unquote got break even on, and then it ends up working, so he was actually in it. Like, come on. He was giving me such a hard time for it too. But yeah, it felt good to be on the other end of that interaction. So for today, let's focus. This is probably cooked. This I actually liked. If you took this is a plus confirmation setup long. Good reaction at the low here, still respecting the 5 minute here, I believe, right? Yeah. As long as we're holding this was my condition, right? It became a significant gap after we tapped into it several times. Okay. I mentioned this in PM chat. And then we got the 5 minute inverse, and then we get the confirmation setup off of it. Obviously, it sucks that we inverse the 5, but the 3, the 4, everything else held. So this V-shape back up, perfect stop run example, right? And if you don't trust this inverse because this gap here holding great. You have the inverse there if you want to wait for that. But pretty obvious that you're going to go for these relative equal highs. And then ultimately our target for the session is going to be London. Once we take that out, I'll probably be done for the day. This one you wouldn't go break even on. You'd go break even here. I wouldn't have gone break even there. Too close. Too close. I don't think we have a good understanding necessarily of what OPEX means. OPEX means the first long probably isn't going to work. We're probably going to retrace to discount and balance the inefficiencies before hitting the final draw. That's all OPEX is really, right? So when we balanced everything, there's no reason for us to think that price is going to go to this high. Okay? That's all it means. All OPEX means is that every inefficiency lower needs to be addressed before heading to the high, or vice versa. Every inefficiency at the high, if we're bearish, needs to be addressed. So, like here, the reason why we don't go hit this high is because we have this unfilled 4 minute here with the devil's mark. Okay. Once we take that out, we're clear to go to this high. Now we've balanced everything, right? And we're running up to this high. We'll probably miss London high and we'll pull back because we're going to create like this 5 minute inefficiency that we need to pull back to or something. And then that'll be our stopper and opportunity to get along. I don't think we're just going to get a clean pump to the high. That'd be very uncharacteristic of OPEX. What if we do? Cool. That just means we're done for trading for the day. Because I'm probably not going to want to long any higher than 1. Unfilled 4-hour too. So higher time frame unfilled gap. Draw. I mean, we see it happen here though, right? Same thing. Come up, barely miss the high. Why do we miss the high? Leave behind this inefficiency here. Be balanced. Go back to the high. Okay. Then we create these inefficiencies. Leave them behind. Come back 50%. Come back up. We're outside the kill zone. Price gets choppy. Price gets choppy. That's all this can be explained as, right? We're outside the kill zone. We've expanded, so now we see accumulation after price takes out this high. Okay, once we get accumulation, we get manipulation down. This leg is here. And then we see AMD play out here, right? Distribution. This was just live time AMD. Why we don't trade outside the kill zone, right? Because usually we see accumulation after we expand. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't mean you can't target these highs. It's just like less likely to hit, right? Yeah, like I'm never gonna long up here, assuming that we'll hit London high if we close above the 15. Because I know when we close above the 15, we're gonna create a 50-minute below that's a conflicting draw. And sometimes, who's the type of person along all the way up here? Who does this? Who longs up here? Oh, I was gonna say dodgy. I was gonna say dodgy. Dodgy's the kind of person that longs up here, right? So when we get like, for example, dude, there's no way this play loses, right? There's no way. Relative equal highs, perfect. All right. So instead, I think the better risk to reward, the better trader here is going to wait for a pullback, right? We leave this inefficiency, we get a big expansion up. We're gonna wait for that long. Or at least that gap to get balanced before entering here, right? When we get the OB. I think that's what he did, right? He entered here. So this is actually good. But sometimes what we'll see is like, oh, I'm entering early because, I think this goes up, and then it ultimately pulls back because, we leave inefficiencies behind. Okay. Oh, we're inversing this 15-minute. There's no way we don't go up here. I'm just going to long with unlimited risk because why not? I can do it. And I'm going to take it for 30 points and then play 3R. No, we're not going to do that. We're either going to miss the trade or we're going to wait for retrace the discount. Which if we're looking at here, new dealing range created, like 0.5 is about there. So maybe we got to go a little higher because it doesn't really make sense for us to pull back to the 0.5 necessarily right now, which is totally fine. It might make more sense to just get along for the 5. Oh, yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is fine. This is good. What Dodgy did was good here. Okay. I'm not saying one way is right or wrong either with taking the long this morning, but I'm just not going to get married to sell side when we've been trading the way we have been the last week and a half. So when I see this and we get the CISD, I'm okay with taking the long. Not here though, right? So there's a big distinction between this and this, right? If we look to the left, this is, old liquidity from Wednesday, right? Makes sense we go down and hit it. See why we'd want to target that, right? Relative equal lows, cool. It's OPEX. And we had this reaction to this liquidity being swept here, right? Equal lows or whatever we want to call that. So we're not taking this long initially because we leave those behind, right? We need to run these first. But when we get this much expansion upward, get that much volume, that much volatility, we get almost an SMR here, right? I can't ignore that. I can't fade that. So with this long, right, that I took, was this in premium? We're looking at price here. Okay. New dealing ranges here to make a new low. So technically, yeah, I mean, it's a little in premium. But I think it's still okay because if you look at like the higher time frame here, right? We're like higher time frame discount still. So yeah, the dealing range we might be premium, but let's say like we do this instead, right? Like this is the dealing range we're currently on the 1 hour, right? I mean, it doesn't really make sense. Not really any inefficiency there. Does it make sense to look for a 0.5 here anyway? Not really. So with this dealing range, what we're looking at here, there's not really a reason to pull back using that dealing range. What about the 1 hour? No, we already said that. No. So really, right, you're going to use this. So I feel like everything here is in discount. Everything here is premium, right? Because this makes sense to pull back to premium. We have that inefficiency, but no other time frame here, looking up really makes sense to pull back to. Now, I also did this earlier with a different dealing range, right? We had this. Somebody asked me, it was like, what's the difference here between this dealing range and this one, right? Or this 50% not dealing range. The main difference for me and why I'm not using this lower low is because this 0.5 lines up better with the 5-minute. Now, ultimately, we need to see actually the 0.5 hit here before going to this high. But I'm not going to be married to this necessarily. I'm okay with looking for a reaction here at the 0.5. Because this is CE of the fair value gap. And most of the time, when we see price violate CE of the fair value gap with a body like this, we don't see like a really bullish reaction. Right? Normally we see this break down a little bit, but I don't know. It's OPEX. Things are weird today. It's not really like a good day to teach on because nothing really acts how it should. So, oh, Dodgy's. I mean, going off of what I said with Dodgy's play, I mean, it's not technically premium, right? Like at the higher time frame, lower time frame dealing range, sure, right? We can mark this out to here, and it's technically premium. But like, if you look at, we dumped a percentage and a half overnight. Like that's a big enough move to the downside. It doesn't matter. Also, we failed to hit this high, kind of getting a pullback stop run situation now, and now we have this 1 minute here, but it's not obvious enough, right? We need to a bigger stop run down. What does OPEX mean? Options expiration. I wait for the CISD to form for the SMR or the inverse. I don't remember shotgun. Yeah, for sure, Shatka. Did I take any trades? Not yet so far for PM. For AM, I took this long and 948. Sold early on it for the high. And then I also tried another long. I should have taken this one at 1108. I really liked 1108. Nice sweep of the low off 50%, singular gap, good inverse. But I missed it, and it was a break even. Yeah, but you got to think about it in terms of liquidity. Yeah, so you wouldn't expect it to remanipulate. Honestly, it's not that good. You're right. I mean, we're chopping, right? That's why it's ultimately a break even. It's just okay. It's a really good pattern trade. What do you think about the trade at 2 a.m.? You're longing into bearish gaps, so I probably would wait. But if you mean like the whole V shape here, I've seen worse. Usually when we V shape like that, you want to wait for confirmation setup or a manipulation leg or something. I don't like taking those first really big shapes that create huge stop losses. Like I said before, we're not really in premium, right? On like the actual 4 hour dealing range, the one that matters, because we're looking at the 4 hour here. This is premium, this is discount. So all this down here is discount. When we try and analyze looking at the lower time frame dealing ranges, like there's no dealing range here back up that really makes sense to call premium discount. Unless you're looking at this one we just talked about. In the retrace to discount there, it's technically good enough. It's either the retrace to discount or us being in discount after a bullish movement. Like, but guys, like none of like this isn't a good day to like look at for analysis. Basically, whenever we're talking about premium discount, the simplest way to put it, just so that you guys can have like a good idea of what you're supposed to be doing. You don't want to be longing when we're super extended and we're leaving inefficiencies behind below. We're leaving conflicting draws. Okay, that's the gist. That's premium, that's discount, right? It's not like a hard, fast rule of, oh, I have to be longing right below the 0.5 or I have to be longing right above the. It's not, no, none of our rules are really like that though, right? Think about it. We don't really have any one rule that's completely 100% like you have to do it this way, right? All of our rules are kind of fluid, right? They're kind of subjective. You can kind of bend them to whatever makes sense in the scenario that we're in, right? Basically, this is what I'm saying. Don't long in premium or short in discount can be simplified to don't trade when we're overextended in one direction. There, done. And this can actually be simplified to just that. Exactly, yeah, love luck. Combined 30-second, the London high. Like I said, don't want a long when we're overextended, right? We have the unfilled 15-minute below that we're leaving behind. There's that, conflicting draw. I don't really want to long this high up, so I'd rather wait for a pullback. Not estimated. The amount of points that we expanded from overnight, okay? We open at 6 o'clock here. We dumped almost 600 points, over 600 points, okay? No estimation needed. So what does that mean for AM? Well, AM, we don't have a continuation of the short because there's nothing to signal that we're actually going to do that, right? Break a structure lower, IO Fed reaction off a higher time frame gap, whatever. Then we would expect price to reverse and retrace to the mean, come back to balancing inefficiency in New York AM. Or sometimes after we expand, we consolidate for a bit, right? And then, then that's followed by, reversal or retracement, which we kind of consolidated here a little bit, right? And then 930 was kind of like our manipulation leg down, right? Kind of a drew swing. And then everything after that was kind of, the distribution. Okay. Any questions about anything we just talked about? I know that could have been confusing. I just wanted to clarify. Everything can basically be simplified what we're talking about. Don't trade when we're overextended. Period. And then obviously, like the one exception, because there's always an exception to every rule. That's for A plus draws, right? Use your head, right? In these scenarios. One exception. There's always an exception to every rule. Yeah. Yeah, not the bodies. Use the wicks. No matter what time frame, it just has to make sense for a place for us to retrace to. There's no reason for us to retrace there, then you're just guessing we'll pull back for no reason because we've moved up. But if there's no inefficiencies, if there's like if we made a move up and we're balanced all the way going up, and there's no really reason for us to pull back, why would we, right? That doesn't really mean that we're overextended, right? We're just having a healthy move higher, right? Overextended means the move was unhealthy. We aggressively expanded in one direction with no retracement, no opposing, moves. Oh, so you guys did it next. Okay. Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I said it wasn't bad, right? The trade at 2 a.m. I said I've seen worse. But here's my issue with it, right? Kind of what I detailed when I was talking about it. The size of the stop loss. I don't like entering trades that have stop losses of 40 points or more most of the time. right? How bad was the trade that I took this? Okay. It's see, even I don't even like taking this trade that much. I have to get a better stop loss here. But yeah, the I guess I can't say anything because I took that trade. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I can't say nothing. It's fine. It's the first inverse after a big down move, maybe, is the difference, right? So whenever we get big expansion downward like this, sometimes it's better to wait. And then you're longing into 15-minute bearish gaps, so you kind of want to wait for price to accumulate first, right? Because structure normally dictates that we don't always just expand, expand, expand with no accumulation, no retracement, right? So here, maybe it's just like a timing thing. Right here, we had an opportunity to consolidate, and it makes sense in terms of like the Judas swing that we get like a move down manipulation leg before seeing our move play out. So maybe it's more, yeah, I don't know. Not every trade needs an explanation though, right? Like, because I guess the main thing is I don't know how London normally behaves, and I don't have data on how you're supposed to trade an inverse at 2 a.m. So I can't give you an accurate explanation as to why this setup failed necessarily. I know why a setup like this could fail during the New York kill zone, but you know, yeah, for London it's hard. 330. Yeah, no, I see what you mean. I mean, it looks good. So your entry here is this 1 minute, right? And just hoping that it doesn't get break even and then it gets break even. And your second entry here is this inverse here. And then you hope that it, gets the fill before the low hits, but then it doesn't. And then your next entry is the 5 minute? 5 minute. Yeah. And the reason why you take the 5 is because of the reaction to the 1 hour. The last gap getting tapped there. Because technically order flow is still bearish, so you can take the first inverse there and not wait for the 15. As long as you think the draw is, good going back down. And this was like a good retracement, which it looks like it was, right? If we mark out this leg. Yeah, this looks good. So, yeah, I could take the 5 there without waiting for the 15. I mean, for New York, it might not work for a multitude of reasons, but mainly timing. This setup works depending on the time that it's taken. If we get this setup right at 10 o'clock, it usually works. If this happens at a different point in time, it's kind of weird. Normally it won't work. But yeah, 10 o'clock, this setup works. Or just like the macro time. Like here, this setup kind of triggered just before, so that's why the delivery here is kind of weird. But right at 10, right on cue, look. And that's when we get our problems. You just try it. You never know. You never know if a setup is actually going to work. But if you like the risk and it seems like something that might work, like you just take it. Like my idea here is I'm not just going to go for these highs up here, right? I'm not just going for 1-to-1. I'm going to go for this, right? I'm going to go for almost 2-to-1, right? But I know that it's OPEX, so I'm going to scale a little bit before for 2R. Okay. But if I was in, you know, on an account where like I didn't want to limit my profits, I would be trying to hold for this, and I would only get a scale plus break even on this. I'm gonna try and hold for this because there's still liquidity above, and I want to make this entry worth it, right? Kind of like what Dodgy said. The way that you take this entry and make it worth it is by holding for more. Yeah, I think there's more buy side draws above here than sell side, and it's also like a higher time frame thing, right? Like we just don't care about sell side draws as much. So if we have a good V-shaped reaction, I'm not going to ignore that. I don't know. Don't think too hard about today. Like don't think about what you could have done, what you might not have done. Like it's not that serious of a day to pay attention to. It's OPEX, right? Like we can simplify all this down to I got lucky. Like maybe this was a bad setup and it just happened to work out. I don't really think so. Like, but it's all hindsight. Everything I'm saying. Maybe I did get lucky at OPEX. Maybe this does fail most of the time. I don't have 100% of the data on every OPEX ever. Was it a problem that two sell side draws? For some people, it might be. But for me, when I'm at all-time highs, I don't care about sell side liquidity. I'm not going to act like I'm invincible. There's an explanation for every reason why every trade loses and every trade wins. And, you know, I'm the end all be all to trading and how things are supposed to work. Like maybe I'm just lucky on a day like today. Who knows? But on another day, a normal day where it's not OPEX, we can have conversations about setups and we can actually educate and have the conversation actually be more productive. I just don't know if a conversation about PA and setups on OPEX is really going to do us any good when looking at other days. It's just so different than normal. Exactly. Exactly, Fahrenheit. But yeah, like okay, let's look at this really from both sides, right? Get a good understanding of both. Okay, we're bearish here, right? We want to hit sell side liquidity. Okay, I'm bearish. I don't want to see price violate bearish PD arrays if I'm going to be bearish. Okay, I want to see price continue to respect bearish until we hit that sell side liquidity. Okay, we dump. Really choppy, not putting in bearish for value gaps. Okay, we dump. We take out the first low. Okay, bullish reaction back up. All right, we inverse the bearish for value gap. Okay, that's not too big of an issue. You know, it's not a significant gap. We're still kind of holding the order block. Okay, whatever. Right? If we hold the order block, okay, this could be a problem, right? We're putting in a breaker. That's not good. We dump again. Okay, cool. Now we have a bearish inverse. Are we on the 32nd? Right. Putting in more bearish PD arrays. All right, we get our dump through. Okay, we knife through the low. All right. Now this is the make or break moment. We need price to break structure lower. We want to see big bearish candles down. We want to see price take out that sell side liquidity. We're at all-time highs. We're on OPEX. We know that if this is going to be really bearish, we're going to hit the low. We're going to do it right here, right? Or we're going to come back up and rebalance this and then come back down. All right. This is now our condition. You do not want price to violate this at all. All right, if we're bearish. Okay, price came up really, really aggressively. We pumped 110, 130 points in 3 minutes. Okay. All right, that's really bad if we're bearish. All right, this should have been an IO Fed. We should have came down to sell side liquidity. All right. Now I need price to have a bearish reaction through this gap. It's the last chance. If we pump up here and we put in the order block, this is screwed, right? We are bullish. Okay. All right, that's exactly what happened. Okay, so that's your thought process if you're bearish on this day. Okay, if you're bullish, all right, we should come sweep out sell side. Um, I'd really like to see this 1 hour hit. That way I can have a nice high probability trade. Maybe back out of this 1 hour gap here that we'd held several times. That could be nice. Okay. Oh, we missed sell side. Well, that sucks. Kind of a conflicting draw. But maybe if momentum's good enough here, I don't really care about that because we took out a bunch of sell side already. We had a big dump overnight. We put in a lot of, obviously buy side here on the lower time frame. We have the unfilled 4 hour. We have session liquidity above. All right, there's like 9 million bullish draws here. All right, so it would suck that we have conflicting draws. Clearly, this conflicting draw, this draw is C, or like less important than like all the liquidity pools here, right? Liquidity pool, 930 wick, session liquidity, what else? All right. Oh, the 4 hour gap. All right. So it's like 4 liquidity pools. Okay. All right. Versus 1 that we have down here. Maybe 2. Okay. So we don't really care about these sell side liquidity as much. Okay. We have really aggressive momentum. All right. We're just bullish now, right? Enter, pick it up. Cool. Whatever. The price comes back down here. Really weird, sloppy delivery. End up respecting the last gap in the leg. Okay. So order flow is still bullish. And then we get this big move up after 10 o'clock. Okay, cool. All right, makes sense. That's the difference, right? If you're bearish here, you really have to you kind of have to cope the whole time in these moves down because we're so far in discount, right? Price has to prove that we're so bearish in order for this to make sense at all. And because it doesn't, right, we end up just getting the long sense. And obviously this is all hindsight, but this is what I was thinking about in live time too, right? I'm always doing this. I'm always addressing conditions. Yeah, looking at it from both sides can kind of clarify like why things worked out the way they did. So yeah, we're just going straight up. We blasted past London. Probably just gonna go back to all-time highs now. I should have bought options down here. When I first logged on, I thought the 15-minute dealing range made sense. So 50% lines up with an FEG. We had it on the hour to start the day. So when I started, okay, so like let's go back to open. Where would I draw my dealing range? Okay. Here. Okay. I'm looking here. I am going to use like I'm going to be looking at this because if you look, the 15 year has that unfilled gap, but once we balanced it, now I'm just going to look for a reaction at 50. Okay? And see if like we're still bearish. Right? Cuz if we start to expand past this, right, and get the inverse and whatever, then cool, bearish reaction at 50. So I think if that's what you did, then yeah, we're on the same page. Right? Because this is our dealing range, right? High, lower, low. At least for the lower time frame, right? And then once we get this move back up, okay, we put it on a low. Now we put it on a higher high. Now this is our new dealing range, right? But instead of using the 15-minute, we're gonna use the 5 minutes. The gap kind of lines up there. And you can use either this one or this one. It doesn't. This one doesn't really matter as much, right? We were kind of just talking about semantics in chat. I kind of like this one more though because when we're at all-time highs, price tends to get the least like the highest I guess potential spot for a bounce, right? And then it doesn't go past that because we're so bullish. Okay. But here today, I guess we got lucky. So I don't know. Doesn't really matter. Use either 50% here. They're both good. They line up with the 5 minute. I just prefer the one over the other. It's a preference, so it doesn't really matter. I don't think I would stop myself from taking a long though if it was textbook because we failed to hit that lower 50%. That makes sense. And that's where some of you guys are still learning and are still trying to like discern the difference. Right? If we have relative equal highs here and we had a good enough pullback, like I'm not gonna not take that. What I'll do is I'll take the loss there and I'll just re-enter if we get another setup. Because the risk reward there would be good enough for me to take another long, hopefully. How would I draw the retracement for the big move up right now? So high put in, higher high. Kind of disappears though on the 15, so I'd probably use the 15 because we have a nice obvious gap there, and I'd probably draw like that. I'd be looking for a pullback to here to take a long. Does that make sense? Kind of just going off the exact same thing we were talking about. Right? Because if we use like the 1 hour here, okay? Look at what happens. Oh yeah, guys, let's go for a 1 hour retrace here. What happens if we go for the 1 hour retrace? What does that tell us about price if we come all the way back to the 50% here? Yeah, we're probably bearish, right? We're inversing all these bullish gaps up here. We're like destroying, this. We might even get a CISD, right? If we're putting in this 1 hour, we might inverse that 1 hour, okay? So if we're to remain bullish and this is going to be a retrace for us to head higher, does it make sense to pull back to the 50 here? No, right? So that's another thing you have to consider, right? It's not just about do we have targets? It's also does it make sense if my sentiment here is going to remain unchanged? Now, why we're looking at the 15. Doesn't need to be hard. Yeah, is that the short we're taking? Okay. Okay, maybe. Exactly, love luck. Yeah, I do the same thing. Bruce, I like you, man. You're always so nice. Exactly, Lovelock. It's kind of like, this is the way I like to think about it, right? Like, let's say you're playing poker, okay? Those know how to play, and we'll get this analogy. And you're given the option of getting pocket aces dealt to you on two different hands. A hand where your opponents, the best card amongst all your opponents is like 7-8 suited, okay? Like suited connectors. And like you're gonna chop most of those pots. Like you might do well on them, right? Or you're given the option of having pocket aces versus ace king. Okay. For those of you that know a little bit about poker, like that hand is going to be great for you most of the time because your pocket aces are usually going to beat the ace king because if you draw an ace, the other player's dead, right? They can't improve unless they get like no, there's no way they can improve, right? So like they're out. One of their outs is completely dead, right? And it just makes a much better hand for you, and it gives you the benefit too of our opponent having a strong hand, meaning they'll most likely get their chips in, right? If it's like a good run out for them. So that's the difference, right? Like if you try and short here, you're trying to play your pocket aces on like a shittier table run out versus you could be having like the best possible outcome, the best possible table run out. Right. I prefer to wait. Get the better run out. Because here you're limited probably on the amount of money you can make. Whereas here it's like, okay. Um anyway, that was a bad analogy. I guess nobody got it. As far as order blocks, so with order blocks, like the ones that come off liquidity are usually CISDs, unless you're talking about like we get a liquidity sweep and then we get an order block, right? But the better order blocks are going to be like the pronounced obvious ones coming off of um like liquidity run, like you're saying. But they can be at any point. It just changes the strength of them. Much in the same way that an IFG can be at any point, but the strength and validity of an IFG changes depending on where it's formed and how it's formed and whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, like this could be a short on the 5 minute. It's technically A plus, right? We have an unfilled gap below and we're getting good momentum. There's like another time frame here. Yeah, it's just gone. Wow. CISD is basically just like you look at a manipulation leg. If it inverse is cool, if not, great. I'll give you an example. Okay, you're saying that we go break even, right, before we get the CISD. But here's an example of a CISD we got today before the break even, right? We can both agree that this here is the break even for this 1 minute long, right? It's a singular gap inside of this leg. The only gap that gets inverse, right? Right, Julio? But the manipulation leg starts as the beginning candle of the continuous down close candles here, right? So that would be this candle at 9:44 starting the manipulation leg, and then these three running it down. So here, when we close above this candle, this is our CISD, okay? However, our break even is up here. This is an example of a trade where we get the inverse and the CISD at the same time, but we're not break even. Does that make sense? No, I didn't go break even on this on my fundeds and evals. I went break even on my live account because we were up 50 points on the trade. Okay. Or 40 points. So sometimes I'll go break even before the high hits because we've already pumped so many points. But technically here you're not supposed to go break even on the 1 minute until we get to this high. This is a good example of how you can use CISD and inverse to increase the confidence you have in a trade working out before the break even hits, right? But you are right. Most of the time, like if we get an inverse, right? And it looks something like this, right? Oops, not the right tool. Where we get like chop, 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 high put in, low, V shape back up, right? The CISD's here and the break even's here, but we got the inverse down here, right? So yeah, in these types of trades, yeah, the break even and CISD can be at the same spot. So unfortunately, this target's no longer good. But yeah, that short could have been nice. Anyone longing for 15-minute gap? Not anymore because we tapped the full power. It's cooked. Now I wouldn't long anymore, right? This was like the last target for the day. Everything else is just eval gambling. Like, who knows if we go back up now, right? But yeah, I mean, perfect, right? We came back. Did we tap 50? No, we missed it. Okay. So here, because our draw has been taken out, I really do think I'd like 50 to hit. And I don't have to be married to it. We're all-time highs, but just for the better trade opportunity, I'd like 50 to hit. But I short now. Honestly, this was really A plus if we'd gotten it. This 5-minute, maybe not A plus because it's not singular, but like the structure here, like this reaction, like the liquidity being taken, delivery out of the higher time frame, like this is good, like bearish V-shaped structure. And we had the unfilled 15, but now that we balanced it, I wouldn't short, right? So if we'd gotten like the inverse there, I probably would have taken it on at least an eval, if not maybe a funded. I like this. I like this is a lot of momentum in a singular candle. I kind of like the reaction here, right? This is a pretty obvious liquidity sweep, but it's all-time highs. So it's like, okay, so in order for us to enter long, we have to generate new buy-side draws and liquidity, and that's going to take like a whole session. So today's pretty much over now. And I said this at the beginning of stream too. So I'm pressing, you can see a higher time from FPG with indicator. I don't know. I guess. I just yes. We still see been recording. Oh, dude. I forgot to start recording, man. Right, that one wasn't good. Of course, I've been recording. I've been recording for 54 minutes. Yeah, yeah. I didn't sell it. I didn't sell it too well. Now, no, I don't think you're dumb. I don't think shorts to the 15-minute would have been bad there, but obviously, right? We just talked about it. Pocket aces versus suited connectors, or pocket aces versus ace king. I think the draw here is good. We target that. Okay. Can I ask why you're recording everything? Where's the recording? Who watches them? Yeah, I mean, all the PM stream recordings are here. Sometimes people like to go back and just listen to snippets of the stream. They don't watch the whole thing, obviously. But nah. It's not about that. I'll answer any question a million times. Sometimes it's easier if you guys just go and watch it. But I know that like everyone, like I said the other day, has a different learning style, and so if you like to listen to the answer in person in live time, then do that too. But I feel like sometimes my explanations, especially when I start making this long form content, they're going to be much more polished. Obviously, I'm going to take it a bunch of time. Like, take that bit of thing I say. Yeah, for sure, Andrew. Yeah. Close to that. Fahrenheit, bro. What did I do today, man? I know you usually give me a tough time, but what was it today? Was it the oh yeah, I'm going break even year thing, and then I end up taking the trade for the win? Was it that? The Dodgy Classic? Okay, for sure, Murmar. What up? Let me get your actual name. Actually, I'll just say your what up, Murmar's wife. If you made it this far, you are 1 hour into the recording. I hope dinner was nice. Hey, Fahrenheit, you are the chosen one of your own story, man. The way I like to see. Longs are legal again. Like it. Got 50. I sometimes get confused if they accelerate the movement of what price Julie wants to do. No, I feel like news isn't really like that. I feel like 9:30 is usually a good accelerator. Like macro times are a good accelerator, but news, no. News is like, yeah, no. News is random. Death Candle past 50 plus an inverse of this 15-minute would make me bearish, by the way. I'm gonna throw that out there. This is my condition. Maybe the 30-minute too, but probably just the 50. This already actually looks really, really good for a short. Like, imagine we're now gonna go for this. This is a lot of momentum. Wait. Options play? End of day options play? OPEX brings us back to the open? 9:30 open? Huge buying shorts at all time highs, by the way. 710s? Maybe? We're a little overextended now, right? Like the entry would have been actually this for the 2022 model. This would have been textbook. Market structure shift here when we close through the low. Retracement. I mean, textbook 2022. I added the 710s, the watch list. They're already up 25%. My goodness. Yeah. Hmm. 5 minute did not IO fed though. Yeah, true. Dude, this looks really bearish. Or Knight said, sure, buddy. I mean, this is so much momentum. What's IO fed? Institutional order flow entry drill is the whatever acronym. It just stands for like whenever price specifically taps into a fair value gap and rejects out of it very violently, creating a wick, and we barely tap into it. So a good example of that would be like, if I could find one off the cuff real quick. This one. This is a good IO fed. Theo price reacts off this 1 minute here. We like tap into it and then very aggressively expand out of it. Dark pool, like that money. I don't know about black pool, but yeah, dark pool money where like people trade outside of the options. I mean, not the options, but like the options chain, I guess. Right? They do backroom orders. Usually reserved for like hedge funds and like really big institutions. Is that what you're talking about? You gotta have money to play there. Yeah. The reason why is because if institutions tried to enter the market, like on the books, it would influence the price of the market too greatly, and the spreads of those contracts would become too great, and then people would notice you entering positions and try and front run you, and it would just get you worse fills. So dark pool is you're playing outside of those markets. Of course, only rich people are allowed to do that, but you know, also, I mean, it's not really a headache for most retail investors, right? Like we're not really. I mean, the only people front running us are the hedge funds. So there's a. I mean, yeah, it's just cheating. Trading in dark pools is cheating. I don't know how it's allowed, to be honest. I mean, I know how. It's because money runs the world. But yeah, for me, it's just the 15 and 30 minute Bruce. But yeah, if we inverse every time frame for sure, it means we're gonna go down to this low, like lunch low or whatever. Dodgy saying this was textbook. I think we talked about this, right? Said this was pretty good. But taking it. Yeah, exactly. We need to come back to balance these. So we balance this one, right? We probably don't need to come back to here. This, I guess we could call a breakaway gap, right? So we probably don't need to come back to this. If we do, we'd be violating too many bearish PD arrays anyway, and we'd probably become bullish. But now we probably need to retrace to 0.5 of this lag, right, and balance that, right? So we don't want to short when we're too overextended. We probably want to pull back to here and then a short. And if we don't, then we're just going to keep expanding with the dump. What'll probably happen here is we'll form like a 5 minute gap that we need to pull back to, or some inefficiency, something here. Maybe this 30-second, right? We come back to the last gap in this line. Exactly, Soko. So yeah, we'll probably go down, right? Overall bias will switch bearish, but we need to see like a retracement before getting an entry. I've been trading the NASDAQ for a little over 3 years, but in the last 3 years, I've probably put 10,000 hours into charts. So maybe not 10,000, probably at least 6,000 hours. What draw you think it's going for? If we're bearish, I marked out these lows. Ultimately, like I could see us coming back to these at some point. Right, depending on how fast we get down there. But if we hold the 15 minute and we get this inverse back up, then we're probably just gonna be bullish and we'll go for these highs next. Right. But we don't know yet. We need to see price do something. 2 minute back up looks interesting. 3 minute running into other gaps. Yeah, 3 minute inversing everything would be good. Like our structure that we normally see if we're looking for an inverse. But where are we bouncing from? Last 5 minute. I mean, 15 minute could just hold. Eval break even now. Oh yeah, was there a 15-second Fahrenheit? Oh dude. Perfect 15-second. We have a lot of LRLR, no? Yeah. Yeah, sure. A little too spread apart here, right? We talked about price being in the same neighborhood when we talk about LRLR, but this is okay. Kinda. It's not as algorithmic as it should be. There should be more than 3 touches. And then if we extend this down to here, this is too far apart. So it's not really good LRLR. It's just okay. It's like C tier. Did you get break even? Like when we came up here, this candle? Yeah, our strategy is pretty much the same. We differ on a couple things, but for the most part, it's the same. Sometimes we like differ in our opinions on bias and that kind of thing, but usually what happens is I'm wrong and he ends up being right and I look stupid. But today did not happen. Got lucky today. For sure, Fahrenheit, for sure. Lowest time frame I could see is the 1 minute. Aw. You kind of have to guess. Yeah. You have to use my 2 brain cells and sync them. Yeah, Bluetooth. Or that helps. Dude, did anybody watch the Kevin Hart roast? Speaking of ice coming for you. One guy, Jeff Ross, I think, over the second comedian was after Spain opened, said something like the only time we see people in LA that look like Shane is when they're handcuffing Latino children like that. I was like, all right. I saw that, and then, did you see the one clip of him making fun of that woman whose husband killed herself like a long time ago? That was bad. Dude, actually, like, no, I mean, it was she was cool with it. She was cool with it, which was good. But yeah, bro, they were jokes they were making were pretty out there for Netflix. I even heard he made an APAC joke, and he made a lynching joke, which like that's pretty crazy. He said, I can't even repeat it, bro. You guys just have to go watch it yourself. Oh yeah, for sure, Fahrenheit, for sure. Tom Brady was in this one too. He opened the show. I think it's like a tradition, right? Every roast, like celebrity roast, whoever roasted last gets to roast first. No, Shane Gillis, and he was good, really good, just surprising for me at least. Yeah, I think Chelsea was. Yeah, yeah, there was a bunch of people. What do they call them, the dais or something? But yeah, I'm gonna finish watching it when I'm at the gym tonight, probably. Which I'm on that grind. I have a video series I might do with that, but it's kind of out there. It's kind of out there for me. Not gonna lie, it kind of makes me a little uncomfortable. One of my goals this year is to continue to lose weight. I've already lost a good amount, but I want to continue, and I want to combine that with trading. So what I wanted to do is make a series where I pretty much like trade recap for the day, but I also want to make it like about disciplining building systems for yourself to improve your trading and talk about how to do that. And what I want to do is basically be like, okay, if I broke my rule on this day, I have to add X amount of time to walk or run or use the treadmill or whatever. And if I break a rule and I lose, I have to add even more time, right? So it's like insult to injury. Um, but yeah, I don't know if anybody would actually want to watch that. And also, it's like exercising on camera, which like I've never done that before, and I'm not really like a fitness influencer or anything like that. I know, fair. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be an ultra marathoner. I'm gonna look like name David something. Who's gonna carry the boats? Yeah, Goggins. I don't know, dude. I found this guy, um, like Kev something. Kev stay ripped or stay something. And oh my gosh, this guy is like the one of the toughest guys I've ever seen on Instagram. I found him last night. Oh my goodness. I'm gonna pull it up for you guys because like if this doesn't motivate you, I don't know if anything will. Wait, did you delete the video? He deleted it. Kev trains hard. That's it. I think he deleted the video he posted just yesterday. Oh no, it's right here. Hmm. Yeah, the oil rig guy. Oh my gosh, that guy is crazy, Scuba Steve. I could not believe the video I was watching. I have to get this pulled up. It was literally like, wow, I am such a loser. Yeah, the big Asian with tats, exactly. Like, no, it's not. Short. But yeah, dude.
It's my last day shift. Finally get to recover, get some days off. It's Mother's Day. Finally finished my run in the oil field. It's my last day shift. Finally get to recover, get some days off. It's Mother's Day on Sunday. Kind of excited to see my mother-in-law. It's not official, but that's basically how I look at her. The next day we go out to brunch. That's my girl's ma right there. She got other family there too. We were at a Cambodian spot. That's my girl. Right there, that's grandma. She a cute, short, little Asian lady. She kind of remind me of my grandma when she was still around. I'm 4 weeks away from competition, so I bought my meal prep with me.
Goes out to the restaurant,
Old man
brings
trying to
his
stay away
own
from
meal
food,
prep,
but
bro.
I had to show up and pay my respects. But I cannot afford to deviate from the diet right now. But the food was tempting, man. Just kept looking at that shit. Starchy carbohydrates, fucking flavorful Asian soup. My girl's mom kept trying to feed me snacks. Kept having to turn it down. And then I went home, and then I got a call, and then a text message. I'm on mandatory. I just finished my day shift, but boss man wanted me to come in for a night shift. I don't really have much of a choice. I'm on the mandatory list. So I rushed and started packing up all my food. Being on this bodybuilding prep, man, I'm just tired. Really wanted to use that time to recover since I do not sleep a lot at all when I'm on shift. I run to the gym and I do my cardio Stairmaster. I wanted to train today, but I won't have time to train. But I still have to get my cardio in regardless. I drive back to the ports. Yeah, I'll be up for 24 hours. I wasn't expecting to get called in tonight. They need me to cover a different oil island. Like a good little employee, I go scurry off. And from day shift, I go right into night shift. 12-hour night shift fueled by Diet Coke and energy drinks. I feel like a fucking zombie, man. Really need to recover if I want to have any shot at winning this bodybuilding competition. I'll finish the next day at 5:30 a.m. Gather up all my willpower to go back to the gym.
Bro, what?
And then I gotta finish with my cardio from yesterday. So I do
cannot
50
be
minutes
serious.
on the Stairmaster. Shit done took everything out of me, man. It has nothing to do with the physical anymore. Everything is just mental. I don't smoke anymore. I use nicotine pouches sometimes, especially on the deep end of the cut. But I lit one up just to decompress. It's Sunday, it's Mother's Day today. So I called my mother. I haven't talked to her in a few weeks. Hi, Ma. Happy Mother's Day. I feel bad, man. You know, my family in New York. I stayed out here in Cali after the Marines just because there wasn't really nothing positive for me back in New York. I've gotten so busy building out here, I rarely get to go home. Last time I went home was when my
Like,
grandmother
it
passed
really
away. They
puts it
still
into
cooking in the
perspective, though.
restaurant. You know, that's what the Chinese immigrants do. They come out here for a chance for a better life, but it's really for the kids, you know.
Like,
You know,
I'm
they
really out
sacrifice
here
a lot. My mom always
procrastinating.
sorry that she couldn't do more for me. She was always
And,
in
like,
the restaurant working,
not doing what I need to be doing in life.
as the reason
And
why
this
I
guy
was always outside doing some crazy shit. Kind of
goes to the gym once before his 12-hour shift. And then works 12 hours after not being asleep, right? And then goes back to the gym. Like, bro, like, oh my God. That's what I'm saying. Nah, but what I mean, Shaka, is I'm always finding excuses for myself to not do shit. Whether I overthink or, you know, XYZ, whatever it is, right? This guy's just fucking grinds, bro. I need to get like that. Not cared. Who cares? 3 minutes, something you keep an eye on? Not really. The draw sucks. For sure, Julio. I mean, same thing for me, right? Before I started trading, I had a backup plan. It's not a bad thing. People, I was just watching a show last night. So stupid. It's very valid advice. People that like want to go into like the arts or whatever, or want to take a shot, at their dream, should still take the SAT, or should still, consider going to college, just in case. You know, I feel like you have to. I feel like that's the same for us, right? We're taking our shot. We're starting our business. We're doing whatever. You know, most small businesses fail the first 2 years. Don't be part of the statistic. And if you are, like, have a backup plan. But yeah, Andrew, that's exactly what I thought when I watched that video. I'm gonna keep that guy in my back pocket because that's like a great motivator. I'm not gonna lie, bro. He's if he can go work 12-hour shifts on the oil fields and still find a way to get back to the gym for a second time, I can go at least once. You know, bro. No, it's not that serious. It's not you either achieve this or you die sad, right? You just find something else. You know, not everything is meant for everyone. Imagine you went in with that mindset for any other myriad of things, you started in life, whether that was like trying a sport or whatever. And you went in with the mindset of like, all right, either this or that, right? You're kind of setting yourself up to be in a negative mindset. You're so desperate for it to work. But realistically, the only mindset you need is like, I'm going to power through. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to put 100% in. And if it doesn't make sense for me and I'm not compatible with it, I'll go put 100% into something else and make that work. And that's just life. I don't mean for this to get too derailed from trading, but it is important to work on your psychology and reflect on these things sometimes. Exactly. You don't know what you're good at until you're good, but you could tell. You could tell when you're making progress, and you could tell when whatever. It's more difficult with trading though, right? Because results aren't always tangible, right? Like they are with a lot of other things. You got to find different ways to know, right? And that's where journaling becomes so important. That's why you have to. Otherwise, you might end up trapping yourself in a system where you don't really know if you're improving. See, the idea of doing your best is absurd. Okay, why is that vegan? Exactly, got to do what you got to do, man. Do what's best for you. Yeah. From a neurological perspective, we don't know all the factors which involve us to best. All right, you might be thinking a little too hard. Happy to be at PM stream now. 2 trades, 2 wins. Nice. Heavy man. So we got our pullback to 50. Down move here. We get our manipulation leg now. We want to come back down. Or if we want to see continuation up. My understanding of it, vegan, I guess, is just if you know you could be doing better and you're capable of doing it, you should do it. And this is a good segue actually. Did you help the journal? Yeah, journaling helped me for sure. We have this 2 minute inverse or 1 minute inverse to the downside. It's kind of a pattern trade, but it looks pretty good. I try it. What's our draw on liquidity? Did we inverse the 15? No, we didn't. Okay, so we're not trying it. Right, 15's our condition. Okay. What's wrong with pattern trade? 15 has an inverse, so technically order flow is still bullish here. Right, we're stuck between two 15s. Sure, Sibu. I guess. My thought process is okay. And I saw this in a video yesterday too that we watched. We got so much time wasted in our lives from overthinking and trying to make everything perfect, thinking about things before we do them and trying to map it out. Right? But that's the wrong way to go about things. The right perspective to have is to think less and let each step you take illuminate the next one. Right? Because trying to plot out each thing in your mind is a lot more difficult than if you just do and let each step, lead you to the next one. So like trying to know exactly all the factors which involve you doing the best you can isn't as good as far as doing the best you can versus simply just doing what you want to do in life and doing that to the best of your ability without overthinking like, oh, I could be doing this and I could be doing this. It's like, no, just do it. Doing in theory versus doing in practice are two different things. So I agree with you on that. But just doing it is important. Gonna log off and go to the gym after seeing that vid? Yeah, for sure. See, okay, so we just talked about this 1 minute inverse to the downside and look at that. Instantly fails. Why? We're not bearish. Okay, order flow is still bullish. 3 o'clock here. What are we gonna pump? But yeah, I thought that was a really good takeaway too, right? Like using each step you take towards doing something to illuminate the next and not necessarily thinking of how to get from plan A to the outcome that you're seeking, right? So that's what you got to do with trading, right? Let's relate it all back now. First step in trading was getting to this point, right? We've all done that. We've all, decided, okay, we're going to start trading the NASDAQ. We're all at different points, right? Now that we figured out that we're going to trade the NASDAQ, we're going to trade futures. We're going to figure out what the best way to go about doing that is. That's when you're going to start testing. You're going to start figuring things out. You're going to start learning about different strategies. Maybe you found ICT that way. Maybe you found Dodge that way. Maybe you found me that way, right? And then eventually, you're going to find one strategy that you like, put your trust in, look to the data behind that strategy. And then, step after that is going to be just to backtest, prove that strategy with your own data, prove that it works good for you, and then start forward testing. And your next step after that is, okay, how do I forward test the best? Starting with paper trading, demo accounts, whatever, and then going to eval. And figuring out, okay, what's the best eval for me in my financial situation, and going from there and there and there. And now we're caught up in modern day. Now you're in the phase where you're still unprofitable and you've picked your strategy, you've backtested your data, journaled, you know what account you like to buy and trade with, still unprofitable. Okay. What is the next step we have to take now? Okay. The next step, using the data we've collected through our journaling process and finding errors and missteps and discerning between the 5 characteristics of a good trader, where those areas lie the most, and then building systems off of those errors based on those 5 characteristics to address those things and become better traders day by day, week by week, and ultimately eventually we'll get that first payout. And there it's just replicating that and doing that over and over again. Okay, so that's where the majority of you are right now on that last step. Collect data, fix errors, collect more data, fix errors, and repeating that. You get to a good point. Trading. Shadka, it's called I took my Adderall today. How do you gain confidence? Confidence is simply a combination of two things: experience and knowledge. Okay. When you have both of those, you have confidence. But the knowledge comes with experience? Yes. But you can have all the knowledge about driving a car. Okay. You could do the road safety test. You could do, or not the road safety test. You could do like the, the little written test. You could do all that, right? But if you've never driven a car, will you have confidence the first time you get into a car and drive it? No, right? That's why like you gotta have both, right? You can get into a car and drive it and drive it and drive it, but if you don't have the knowledge to know specific things about either A, your car, or B, specific road rules, right? Are you going to be confident driving your car? Yeah, Drake dropped 3 albums today, and apparently they're not great. Yeah, exactly. That's where like having a mentorship like Dodge's mentorship or whatever can be helpful, Soko, right? But if you're a problem solver, you can figure out your own errors. You need Adderall to do your best. I mean, yeah, I guess. I listened to Iceman, I liked it. True. Yeah, but I figured that out over time. I wanted to become better, right? Doing my best means bettering myself. Okay, how about this, vegan bro? I guess I'll reframe my thing so it's not specific enough. Doing the best you can given your current conditions and understanding of yourself. Is that a better definition? So that's why you okay, bro. Sure. That's why I said what you know about yourself. Control the things you can control. Do the best you can. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, we can talk about semantics, but then I'll have Fahrenheit in the chat and he'll go, God, he just loves yapping, doesn't he? Yeah, you too, Yuki. One of the stories do Adderall and run it up. Yeah, and don't take a trade when we're overextended. And if that guy can go work a 12-hour blue collar shift on a oil rig, you can go to the gym. And what's another one? I don't know. Hold yourself accountable. Okay, so now we are getting the 15-minute inverse, which honestly I would have really absolutely hated to be in this trade. because I probably would have stopped out after this got inverse back up, and then it would have worked, and I would have been like, dude, what the heck, man? Fair enough. Yeah. You talking about plyo? 5 minute OB short is printing. Yeah. Yeah, plyo. What are different flavored sodas? Are we talking about like Fago here? I think the 30 second at three. Fair, valid. Yeah, I was looking at that when I was like, hmm, interesting looking trade, but we hadn't broken this yet. And order flow wasn't bearish because we hadn't gotten the 15 inverse, but I think we could get it here maybe. It really looks like we want to. We're thinking too hard on it. It was a joke. True. Good joke. Haha, hee hee. All jokes may have been true to them. Or something. Yeah, guys, that break even I took this morning was just a joke too, right? Yo, 7-11 puts. Get the 15-minute inverse. Say another fact? What do you mean? Yeah, imagine we missed the low because OPEX NRL. We want to mess around on OPEX. Probably not. Probably not. Something conspiratory? Okay. This is not a hot take, but if you ever have a question about why something is happening geopolitically, the answer is always because of money. And then you just work back from there. It'll save you a lot of headaches and time and discussions. Sorry, but I'm wrong. Okay. 20 power. Well, in this day and age, money is power. So I kind of combine those two. And you can always buy sex. So there you go. It's all money. Oh, yeah. All right. So we're going to get this 15 most likely. Just, I mean, momentum, death candling here. 7-11 puts are probably going to print. I should have taken them. Still can. What do I do? What do I do? Gamble OPEX. I should not do this. Maybe one contract. One contract couldn't hurt, right? Oh wait, I can't. I'll end up on the stairmaster for another 30 minutes. Should have taken that short for the 15 inverse. Should have, could have, would have. Should have taken the 1 minute and gotten wrecked on it, and then coped to taking the 30 second. That 30 second was kind of fire though. I can't lie. That's a nice trade. I should have taken that one. No sweep, but like confirmation setup inverse up inverse. 3 more minutes of the 15 inverses. 7-11s are up 50%. them. The IV on these. No, I haven't actually bought anything. I haven't traded. I haven't taken a trade this session. Genuinely. Another tiny 15-minute. Yeah, it is. But now if we inverse this, we should go to the slow, so I don't think it matters as much. And we'll probably inverse that too. And if we get like the plyo special here, all right, what do we think about this? Minute CISD? You paying attention to that at all? Or does this not matter? Off the 4 hour? Are we thinking like maybe a higher time frame sell model now? Maybe back down to those relative equal lows? -2, kind of, maybe. Two. I could see it. -1, kind of. Got to get the CISD though. If this is a failed CISD, Plyo would say, all right, we should go back to this high. What he would say, so happen. Plyo secretly shorting? I guess so. Nah, he already took a screenshot. One of his rules is if he takes his screenshot, he's done for the day. It's a good system. Good way to keep himself accountable. He didn't take a trade today due to OPEX, true. $15 did in fact inverse. And we closed below the ISD. Now it's just up to this 30-minute. Yeah, sure, munchies. It's not that serious. If there's an A plus trade or A plus draw on the chart, hop on, take your trade to it. Once it's gone, don't bother, right? My condition for today was I wanted to see, London high or session high, whatever it is, up here get hit. Once that got hit, I didn't really care about what happened. I did see the inverse short, and I was like, well, that's interesting, right? That looks like, fair structure to the downside. But I don't really care. I didn't take the trade. -4 kind of lines up here. Maybe this is what we're going for ultimately, right? With the 5-minute inverse. You want to take that 30-second down? I believe a couple people did. But yeah, there was this. All right, sounds good, JF. Yeah, I'll see you next week. For those of you that weren't here yesterday, I'll kind of give you guys the recap on what I talked about. But basically, next Thursday, I'm probably gonna take off. We're off Friday as normal. Monday, we're off due to Memorial Day. Tuesday, I'm gonna take off because I'm driving down to Savannah, Georgia. My girlfriend are gonna spend Memorial Day weekend. It's been like 6 months. I'm gonna give myself a little time off, a couple days. Yeah, so pretty much starting next Thursday, I will be off until the following Tuesday. But I will do my best to still educate, talk about price and whatever in just a different way. Maybe I won't be on stream. and I will owe it to you guys in some way to like make it up to you. We've already talked about it yesterday. I'm gonna do a poll and kind of ask you guys what you want to do. But yeah. Basically, next Thursday off, next Tuesday or the Tuesday following that off. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be normal. Give me your opinion, please. I passed my first eval and got my first payout. Now I passed another 2 evals. Would you say copy trade all 3 or just take one at a time? What's your financial situation kind of looking like? Make that happen? Like if you were to blow all 3? Oh yeah. What does your trading situation look like? Have you been consistent? Or is this your first time doing this? So I mean, just your first payout, right? But like, what is eval passing look like? You know, how quickly could you get back to a funded, that kind of thing? Yeah, for sure, money team. Okay, I would say, you know, take it slow. You know, maybe give yourself another payout, just trading them one at a time. And then if you can secure another payout, maybe that's when you like copy trade 2 of them together and then build from there, right? Trying to get back to that 5. What I like to do is I like to have 2 groups of accounts, right? So I like to have one group of fundeds and another group of fundeds. And the reason why I do that is so that if I take a loss on one, I can go into the other set and segment my risk better. If I take a win on one, I can go to the other and try and take a second win on that. Yes, we'll do Murmur. I'll put it in PM schedule. I'm finalizing plans still. Not 100% confirmed. But yeah, I'll definitely throw it in the PM schedule channel. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye also on the PM social media channel for this weekend. I'll post some stuff in there. Rixo, if you can afford to blow an eval, like minis, I guess, but I probably would stick with micros too. Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Segmenting your bad trades from your good accounts. That's fine. Yeah, it's my system that I found works good for me and segmenting my risk. Obviously, you know, each person can kind of do it at their own discretion. It worked really good for me with my apexes when I was doing that because of the early drawdown accounts. It doesn't work as good on like the end of day accounts, right? Because when you get a win on those accounts, it increases your buffer, right? And so it kind of makes more sense to continue to take trades when you have a bigger buffer versus switching accounts. So it's kind of up to you, but I just use it more of a system for psychology and not for like making money. Really. The end of day, no consistency accounts are great for like running up. So like you could take like a lot of trades on those accounts and try and get it done the same day. I don't know why Dodgy doesn't do that instead of trying to do his like 5K, you know, live account thing. Why doesn't he just like full port like no consistency accounts and do it that way? That's what I would do. We're kind of coming down nice now. When I saw this reaction at the high, guys, this to me was like a light bulb. Like, okay, this could be SMR. Breaker block, CISD, inverse, turtle soup. This is why I was like, okay, we could be bearish here. Another SMR example, another good one. You beat that buffer increase. So whenever you get a winning trade on a end of day like drawdown account, the buffer increases to whatever your profit is for that day, and then it resets at the end of the day. So it's actually better on those accounts sometimes if you take a win, you keep trading that same account. That way you're not impacting your buffer if you take a loss versus if you trade on a new set of end of day accounts, it actually ends up impacting your buffer. That makes sense. Yeah. So what I'm saying, your drawdown. I mean, not your buffer, your drawdown. Okay. So like for example, okay, we have situation A, situation B. Situation A over here, situation B. Okay, situation A is the scenario that the strategy that I use. It works better on like trailing drawdown accounts. Okay. And what you do is you take a win, okay, that translates to the same amount of drawdown, okay, and you switch to another account, and then you could like take a win, loss, whatever, okay, or a group or whatever. Situation B is end of day drawdown, okay. If you take a win, it increases your drawdown, okay. So instead of 2K, right, it then becomes like 2,200. Let's say you took like a 1-to-1, okay? And then you want to take another trade. Your drawdown is still the same, right? 2,200. So then if you take a loss, it goes back to 2K. Whereas on another account, right, if you take another trade, and that account buffer is 2K, and you take a loss, right, minus 200, you're now at $1,800 buffer, okay? Just math again, right? And then you go to the next day, right? Your accounts are now at, account A is at 2K drawdown, okay, in situation 2A. And account B is, what is this? 2,000. Whereas 3B, account A is at 2,000. And account B, or yeah, B is at 1,800. Okay, does that make sense? So like when you're doing that strategy where you switch accounts, you run the risk of this happening if you take a loss on the other account, right? You nerf your drawdown. Whereas here, if you trade in the same account, you really keep the same drawdown, right? If you take a loss. So keep that in mind when doing this strategy. Like there are trade-offs to it. It's not 100% foolproof. But for me, it's more psychological and less about the profit. Yeah. Isn't the drawdown fixed after you build your buffer on the apex? Yeah, exactly. So once you none of this really matters as much. Once buffer is passed, this doesn't matter much. But this is all while in drawdown. Okay. Yeah. For like profit reasons, yeah, for sure, Fahrenheit. Like I said, for psychological reasons, you can do this. This is just like a system that you can implement to fix your psychology if you struggle with it, or just address risk management or that kind of thing. But yeah, here a $200 loss is more like a $400 loss. It translates to when you've already made your profit. Does that make sense? The difference between the two. Yeah, exactly, Fahrenheit. No, it definitely makes sense. What you're saying makes sense. Like I said, numbers wise, that's better. You should do that. If you're up on an account, do it. But if you're somebody that's struggling psychologically because risk management or whatever, this is better for you. And that's what I found. And trailing drawdown accounts. Yeah, because people that take multiple losses on the same accounts and struggle with revenge trading are going to get put into a psychological like conundrum, basically, right? So it's either A, you stop trading, or B, you keep trading because there's good draws in the chart, but you switch up your accounts because you're starting fresh, and that way you're not like, yeah, you can do hard daily loss limit. Yeah, there's other systems too. But the difference is, right, if you're somebody that revenge trades, a minus $500 daily loss limit, right, on one account is, in my opinion, worse than a minus or a minus 200 and minus 200, or minus 250 and 250 across two accounts, right? Because you're leaving yourself a 1750 drawdown on each account versus minus 500 on one. So it just kind of depends. It kind of depends on what you prefer. And the reason why, is because you're giving yourself more opportunity to um like recover when you segment your risk over multiple accounts versus just going all in multiple times on one account. Because here you have 4 days to recover this account, but here you'd have like 8 days. And so on a day or on a week where like price really sucks, you can blow your account in that week pretty easily, but it's pretty hard to blow your account with this strategy. And that's what people struggle with a lot, is obviously blowing accounts. That's what makes them unprofitable. But yeah, try it out. See what works for you. Obviously collect your data. Always question what you're seeing. Appreciate the input, Fahrenheit. And then I was sitting on the trailing drawdown, but once you get the buffer, it's actually better. Interesting. I don't agree, but I like the end of day because you can build your buffer up intraday. You can't do that here. I mean, once you pass the drawdown period on both accounts, it doesn't matter. They're both the same, right? If not, your firm is scamming you. They should be the same. Exactly, Rick. So in that scenario, segmenting your risk might be better than having a fixed DLL across one account. Think payout is bigger on trailing? Oh, so we've actually had this conversation. Max payout, maybe. I don't know what the rules are exactly for Apex, but like I know this for sure. So the max payout you can now take on a 50K is what, 1500? Right? Or is that for the end of days only? It might be 2K still. If it's 2K, okay, well if it's 1500, whatever it is, 2K or 1500, doesn't matter. You have to get to a buffer of 2100, and then you have to make a profit over that. So for a $4,100 payout, you'd have to make, or a 2K payout, you have to make 4,100. For a 1,500, you'd have to make 41, right? For end of day, right? On the lucid flexes, whatever, we've done this before. I selects. All you have to do to get 1,500 or 2K payout is either on the end of day make 3K or 4K, right? So on both scenarios here, you have to make marginally less, right? This one is significant though, right? This is 20% less you have to make. But where it really counts is when you want to take less than that. So let's say you want to take an $1,000 payout, right? On the 50Ks, you'd have to make 3,100. But on the flexes and Tradeify selects, you have to make 2K. So that's huge. That's 50% less profit you have to make the same amount of money on those accounts. Okay. And then the higher up you get, it's just negligible. It's about the same. And these are capped, so it's like, okay, who really cares? But yeah, definitely the flexes and the selects I think are better than the Apex accounts for that reason, because you don't have to build a buffer. Any time you have to build a buffer, the account is worse than the 50% plus 5 days of 150. Harder to request a payout. You have to make more money. And usually those accounts also have consistency. So it's just like everything is stacked against you. Yeah, Apex eval prices are the best. If that's your goal, if that's your priority, that's fine. Yeah, if that's your priority, Nuno, stick with that, right? Like I said, it's all about when picking an eval, you're always trying to figure out what's right for you, your financial situation, your scenario. Obviously, you're not going to be able to beat the price on an Apex eval, so that's fine. Yeah, for sure. Oh, wait, no Wordle or Hurdle today? I was just getting to that. By the way, Fahrenheit, do you agree with me that the system for segmenting risk is better for the trailing drawdown accounts? Like, it's good. It's a good strategy for that. Essentially, okay, fair enough. I'll take that because that's when I originally implemented it was for the Apex trailing drawdown accounts. So I just kind of like shifted it over to the end of day, but I do it that much anymore. The only reason why I do it for the end of day accounts is because you need the 5 days of 150, so it makes it easier for me to get the 150 days. That too, right? If I'm trading the same account, I'm not getting the requirements for those days. But now with a live account, it doesn't really matter as much anymore to me. I don't have any pressure, so I can just continue to trade these Tradeifys. But I don't know. I want to get the live account payouts too because I have a bonus there. There's like a lot of things that like I have to like pay attention to all the time as far as prop firms, so I can figure out like where the best value is and where I should actually be spending my time and actually trading. Like here's my current dilemma. Okay, I have 5 apexes that are 500 away from a $7,500 payout, and then I have my Tradeifys, which are just got a payout on them on earlier this week. I don't remember what day it was, and I missed a day. So I think I'm 2 days in on these. So I'm 3 days from payout, and I'm at 1,200 profit each live. And if I get to 2K, I get a 2K bonus. So 4,000 per. Okay. So clearly live account is the best. That's the account I should be trading. However, these are the accounts I'm most strict on. So now it's the question of, do I keep trading the Tradeifys, or do I go for these 5 apexes that are $500 from payout? But I think I'm on like day 4 or something. So I have 6 more days. So I can either trade these apexes and be like 6 days away. No. They're 25Ks, okay? So I get a 1,500 max payout. Okay. 5 of them. So yeah, it would be 7,500 total across the 5. And I'm on day 4 on those. And I need 6 more days in order to get a payout. Or I'm 3 days from a payout on Tradeify. And those account balances are 3 of them are 1,250 and then 2 of them are fresh. So do I go 6 more days here? Do I go 3 days and go for the payout here? I mean, and then obviously anytime I can get an account on live, I'm gonna take it because 2K bonus would be nice. Why 6 more? Because they're the legacy accounts. Or sorry. 4 more days. There are 8 days in between payouts, I think. Which I think they changed that now to 5, but the old account rules are still on these ones. So this is my current situation, and I have to pick each day like which account I trade. And most of the time, I just default to Tradeify. I don't know why. I think it's because the payouts are quicker than Apex, and I like that. And then the live account, I just normally don't get trades out when we're at all-time highs. So I've just been focusing really on Tradeifys lately. It's been like that for like the last month. Rue. Rue's a good guess. I like that. Pride. Okay. Rude? The word? Oh, it's DE. Greed? Breed? Breed? Breed, greed, breed. What else? Anything else it can be? Or is that it? Okay, so we have 3 guesses, 3 attempts. Find a word with all potential letters? Yeah, I'm gonna try. I don't want another scenario. Break? No, I need B. B, C, and G, bro. What word is out there? Oh, I guess I only need 2, right? Because the other is just process of elimination. Unless it's not, which I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. So yeah, let's just do like, let's try and get this word. Let's get the E here, and then let's do like BC. Um, yeah, I know. That's my brain went. Wreck? Is this a word? What is a word here? Creep? No, I need with a B, a C, and a G, and I need the E in the middle. See, I can almost get bleak. Try the 3 words at this point. Yeah, I should. No, no, no. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna think of a word. A word? Almost. Oh, there we go. I got one. All right. Here it is. Dude, Wordle's stupid. That was Greece. I don't know. Saw, Jordan, Cross, hit. So we barely missed this low. Did we get an SMT? Did. So SMT at this low. D-shape back up. Kind of. Oh. Well, how does this work? Yeah, it's that's the one to throw us off. It's not going to be that. It could be Jordan, like Michael Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. I don't know, dude. This is not good. But it wasn't that. It's probably going to be NBA stars then. Oscar winners? Yeah, probably. I guess like I don't know. Reverse. Okay, this is probably gonna be like Wade, Traverse, Cross. Last one. It's hard, man. This one's really hard. Forward? I think it's forward. Oh, okay. So bird. We're not saying D Wade. Oh yeah, yeah, that's right, that's right. Takes big dump. Big rejection from the 15-minute there. Versus this last gap, we probably go to the relative equal lows there. An internal SMT, so kind of makes sense that it's gonna break. Negative risk to reward, 15 to the low. Good. Maybe we dump for 350 though. Anybody take that? The gap is filled, right? This one, yeah. Yeah, it's significant. Made a higher high out of it. So we're breaking till this we would go to the slow next. Do what 350 wants to do. Okay. I'm just gonna go with this. No, it doesn't count now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, before this inverse is good, right? Like, before we hit the low, but now it's invalid. No, break even. Peak what? What's peak? Palm Springs or something. Washington, Pittsburgh. Where's it this? Where's it this? Not good enough. I figured it out. I mean, you just want me to try and guess something? One away. Not peak. Maybe it's L something. Airport codes. Like, yeah, maybe. Try. No, it's wrong. Okay. So it's not this. Because there's two wrong here and there's not two wrong here. There's three right here. So this makes it worse. So there's 2 and 2 here. 3 and 1. So 3 of these go together. That goes with this. You think it's this? Alright, I'll try it. What? I don't even get either of these categories. You guys or no? Okay, kind of made equal lows there on NQ. Relative equal. I think this is about to dump. I think we're gonna dump down to here maybe. See it. I don't want to chance it on. What is this day called again? OPEX. See what real quick, I guess. Watch 3 play out. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Like, I don't know why. I feel like I got it wrong. There's lunch. It's coming. 2 seconds. Oh. All right, I'll catch you later. Yeah, it's kind of funny when they're really obvious. What is this? Oh, Janet Jackson, bro. Um, Another really obvious one. All right, here comes 355. Yes. Oh, man. We did hit that low that I wanted to hear on ES. So see if it takes a second longer now to get to there. Looks like we might go for low a day on ES actually. Wow. We dumped 250 points in PM with like minimal entry. Besides, I guess this one, but this was a break even. This entry was the best. 30-second year. Sometimes I watch these plays and I'm like, God, why didn't I just short? High a day to low a day. Much just like that. Anyone know? I'm getting a bounce this low. Probably just a short-term retrace. All right, cool. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna wrap up here. I will catch all of you next week. I hope you guys all have a good weekend, and you guys are gonna tune in for IPGs of the week. I guess I'll see you there. So, guys.